Hey, finance fam, welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered what goes on when a financial planner is actually doing financial plans? What are we thinking about that maybe you may not be thinking about? Well, you're in for a treat because today one of my Instagram followers has allowed me to look at her financial situation for free and give some thoughts on where she is now, where she wants to go, and if she's going to achieve her goals. So, Kelly is a 38-year-old investor and she started investing maybe 2 to 3 years ago. She's a do it yourself investor, which is my specialty, and she opened a brokerage account and a Roth IRA, which we're going to dive into the differences of those and why she's done some really cool things here. She got a part time job just so she could get access to a 401k, and she puts almost all of her income, if not all of it, into this 401k and gets it invested. That I think is a really, really cool move for her to do. And her job offers an employee stock purchase program, but she does not participate in that program. For those of you that don't know, an employee stock purchase program allows you to purchase company stock at a discount, typically at a 15% discount. You can enroll, acquire shares, buy the stock at a discount, and then hopefully sell the stock and gain that difference between the market price and the discounted price that you bought the stock at. She's fully invested in a pension. So her earliest retirement age to be able to draw from this pension is 52 years old. But this is what we call fixed income, and it's a great thing to have when you're trying to do retirement planning. She also pays into Social Security. So what's interesting about that is not only will she likely get her pension, but she's also going to, on top of that, get Social Security at some capacity. She also contributes to a flexible spending account. And what this account does is it allows you to pay for medical expenses tax free. So that's a really smart thing to do. One of the tricks with this is it's use it or lose it. So if you put money in, you have a little bit of a grace period to spend it all. But if you don't spend it all, the money just kind of goes away. And that's not really great. But we're going to dive into how we can think about that differently. So her goals are, first of all, to retire early at age 50, but not really fully retire. She wants to do tax preparation and get certified to do tax preparation and do that on the side. And this is actually a great time to get into tax preparation and just accounting, and CPAs in general are, we're kind of having a shortage situation. A lot of people that are doing tax prep are overwhelmed and they've got a lot of business, and we need to see more people out there doing tax work. So I think that this is a great industry for her to get involved in and be able to make income on the side when she turns 50. And truthfully, that is something you can do for a very long time, into her 60s, maybe even her early 70s if she was really feeling up to it. But that's really good that she'll have something that she can do. And basically, her plan is she wants to live off of her brokerage account, her savings account, her Roth IRA until she can access her 401k at 59 and a half, and her pension plan, which she can start taking that at 52, but she may want to wait on taking that and let that grow. I'm not sure exactly. So the fact of the matter is, I don't have every single fact to be able to do a full comprehensive, detailed plan for Kelly, but I have enough information to where I can get into some of her strengths, some of her opportunities, and give her some ideas on how to think about her early retirement. Kelly earns 68,000 a year gross approximately, and she contributes 10% of her income to her brokerage account, her taxable brokerage account, which is an account where you can just invest and it's taxed regularly. Dividends are taxed in the year that you receive them. Capital gains are taxed in the year that you receive them, and you don't have to wait to a certain age to access this money. You can access it at any time. She puts 10% into her savings, which is great. She has a travel fund where she puts 5% of her income. And then she says that 75% of her part time income goes to her 401k. Again, I don't have every single fact, but this is kind of what I'm gathering with the information I have. Her mortgage, what we want with your housing is we want your housing payment to be 30% of your gross income or less. And she's right around that 30% mark in terms of her mortgage being around 30% of her gross income based on the numbers that I had. So I think that she's on the right track with her housing expense here being the right ratio. So right off the bat, you can pretty much tell her gross income is $68,000. Her expenses are around, give or take, $36,000 a year. She's got cash flow. She's got extra cash that she's not using for expenses, and she's really going to have some flexibility to do more investing and more saving, which is great. So I've outlined her accounts here, everything that she kind of has to build up her assets. She's got her taxable brokerage account, which is invested via a robo advisor, which I love that she does that. Robo advisors essentially just you fill out some information, they analyze your retirement goals, your risk tolerance, and they put you in an ETF portfolio, basically a portfolio of various ETFs that's diversified based on whatever risk tolerance you give them, and it automatically rebalances and everything kind of gets done for you. So that is one of the benefits of having a robo advisor if you're not going to be somebody who's, very intently paying attention to your portfolio and wanting to do things on your own. She's got a Roth IRA. She's got a couple of them, but they're both Roth IRAs, again, invested via a robo advisor. So very hands off, very easy for her. She's got her pension balance, which is going to be vested. It's completely vested. So she'll get this when she is at her proper retirement age. She's got a 457, which is essentially a 401k like account, but you can actually pull from it when you separate from service. So when you leave your job. So it is something that you can kind of access a little sooner than a 401k, believe it or not. So that is good. She's got her 401k with her part-time job, her CD, which matures on the 23rd, which as of this recording is right around the corner. So this is good that she's going to get this video because interest rates are much higher now. Interest rates for CDs are over 5% now. So she's going to be able to roll some of this money into a much higher yielding CD. And then she's got some savings. So her total assets are around 99,000, and her future fixed income is going to be a mix of the pension that she gets and Social Security. So this is fixed income that basically she knows it's going to be she knows the amount that it's going to be when she's in retirement. And fixed income, we want more of it so that we can know that our expenses are going to be covered. So her questions are, is retiring at 50 attainable? And I do want to just note that she's not really retiring at 50 because she is going to be doing tax work on the side. So we'll more so say, is leaving her current job and moving and switching careers kind of part-time attainable at 50? And is she invested correctly? I can answer right now with the being invested correctly. The fact that she's doing a robo advisor, that's really doing a lot of the hard work for her. And as long as she properly reflected her risk tolerance to the robo advisor and didn't make it too conservative or too aggressive for what her actual risk tolerance is, as long as her risk tolerance that she gave the robo advisor is accurate, then odds are she's young. She I don't know what the risk tolerance is on her profile, but this is a first opportunity for her to go back to that and look at it. Is it conservative, moderate, or aggressive? She kind of has some aggressive goals here, so she might need to skew a little bit more on the more moderate to aggressive side if she wants to achieve these goals. If she's too conservatively invested, it's going to be a lot harder for her to get there. So that's the first thing that she's going to need to think about. So some of Kelly's strengths are, she is investing with that robo advisor, which is going to be simple, kind of no brainer. She has gone Roth, which makes a lot of sense assuming her marginal tax rate. She does have an emergency savings in her CD. She basically has plenty in her CD to cover her living expenses for 6 months. She has a manageable mortgage payment that is properly sized for her income. She has her upcoming maturity in her CD, which is going to allow her to get even higher interest because interest rates are higher now than the last CD she probably locked in. And she's got fixed income going into retirement. Fixed income is great because it's fixed. We know what it's going to be, and we can match that to our expenses. And it kind of makes our lives a little bit easier. So between Social Security and between her pension, that she's going to have some fixed income that'll help cover these bills for her, which will bring some peace of mind. Some opportunities for her, like I mentioned, I want her to just double check that risk tolerance with the robo advisor to make sure that it's properly, matching not only her actual risk tolerance, but her goals and how quickly she's trying to achieve, kind of like a part time retirement. Uh, the 22 to 24% is the Roth, where Roth really still makes sense. But as you get into the 24% tax bracket on, that's when you really want to start weighing this Roth versus traditional IRA decision. A traditional IRA is going to get you a tax deduction, and a Roth will not. But the Roth is essentially locking in this tax rate today. So that's why it's good if you're in low tax brackets today. Locking in Roth is great. Once you get into 24, you can kind of put a little bit more thought into it to decide, is it worth getting a tax deduction and kind of diversifying my tax situation here? So that's something that she could consider. Diversify a little bit in terms of Roth versus traditional. Her CD, that's basically maturing right around the corner here. What I would like to see is I would like to see her emergency fund, which is 6 months of living expenses, in a high yield savings account. And it looks like she might have to pull some of that CD money, put it in a high yield savings account so that it's liquid and she can get to it. And then, take the rest of that and put it into a CD or roll it back into a CD if she wants to do that. But I like CDs right now a lot. They're yielding pretty nice rates at the moment, 5% plus, and depending on the maturity. And also, high yield savings accounts are still paying a pretty nice interest rate as well. So it's kind of a win-win. You pull out the 6 months of emergency savings to put it in a high yield savings account, and then the rest of that CD can kind of roll into a new CD. So I just want to see some proper liquidity here, because if something happens with her job, I want her to be able to access those funds without having to touch her investments. So being in a CD, you're locked in. High yield savings accounts don't have that. You can get to them anytime you want. So 6 months of living expenses in a high yield savings, the rest maybe in a CD. Employee stock purchase plan that she's not partaking in. There could be something here. This is definitely a more advanced strategy. She would need to get some help on this. That is something that she could do, is participate in the ESPP, kind of arbitrage out that discount. And a lot of people do that if they have access to it. There are some risks though, so you definitely need to consult with a finance professional to make sure you're doing that right. She could, if she has access to a high deductible insurance plan at work and she would qualify for an HSA, she could do a high deductible healthcare plan and do an HSA with that instead of the FSA. But that would completely depend on what she's got access to at work, what her health insurance looks like. She might not be able to do an HSA, but HSAs are really awesome accounts. You put the money in, you can invest the money if you want to, you can pull the money out tax free for medical expenses, and they're just very flexible accounts. So I personally would prefer HSA over FSA, but it also depends on what you have access to and what you're eligible for. What I think an opportunity is here is mitigating fees via her employer plan. So her 401k, her 457, check the fees, check the expense ratios on any investments that you're in those plans. Make sure that the expense ratios for the ETFs or the mutual funds are not too high, because employer plans are notorious for that. Also, with the 457, find out what it's invested in, because sometimes 457s, especially through plans for teachers or government employees, they put you in an annuity, and you want to know if you're in an annuity, because it's a monster of a different thing than just being invested in an S&P 500 index fund. So check the fees for the administration of the plan, and check the fees of the actual ETFs that you're invested in. And then she might have an opportunity in retirement for 0% long-term capital gains harvesting. Maybe if you have no income, if she retires and doesn't really have a lot of income, it's very possible she might have some room to take advantage of some income at 0% some capital gains income, at 0% long-term capital gains brackets. So this is going to depend big time on what her income is when she retires and really controlling that to make sure you can take advantage of this. But that's something that she could consider down the line. At least it's an opportunity to be aware of. So it's kind of answering the question on if she can retire at 50 and do her part-time work doing taxes. The answer is I would need more information to really be able to do this very well and very accurately, right? And I don't have that. But so what I'm going to do is give just a general guideline here. So in 12 years, she's 38 and she wants to retire or semi-retire at 50. So let's just look at in simple terms what her savings now or her investments now could become in 12 years. So she's got about $1,000 a month that she's investing between all of her brokerage accounts. Could be higher. So if we take into account age 38 to 50, that's 12 years at a 7% return. Let's just take a 7% annualized return. And Kelly would need to see what she's invested in and what the annual returns of those investments have been to really be able to dial in if she's going to make this cutoff, right, or reach her goals with the amount of capital, what it'll grow to. So let's assume 7% return and then that $1,000 a month being invested. I double put that in here. Didn't mean to. Sorry. So I started the calculation with what she has between all of her investment accounts. I did not include the CD in this. I just included the investment accounts, the 401k, the 457, the taxable brokerage, the Roths, right? And I took that amount and basically in 12 years, that amount, if she continues to invest monthly at $1,000 a month, will turn into over $350,000 by the time she's 50. So that will give her some wiggle room, especially if she is going to be working part time to be able to pull from it for any income gaps that she might have. But she might not have a huge income gap in terms of covering her expenses and what she's bringing in. That's going to depend a lot on what her part time work looks like. That's going to depend a lot on if her house is paid off or not. That's also going to depend a lot on what her pension income and her social security income when she finally becomes of age to get social security, what that's going to look like. So there are a lot of things that kind of go into figuring out if she's going to be able to make this work or not. But I will say that from what it looks like, she's going to have a nice nest egg at the age of 50 if she continues on this trajectory to at least be able to cover that income gap for a minute until she starts pulling from her pension and from her social security. So ideally, if she's continuing to work and continuing to at least be able to pay for the bulk of her expenses with her income doing tax prep, then she seems like she's going to be okay here, but she's going to want to definitely keep investing while she's doing that, even through into her 50s, going into her 60s. Ideally, she'll want to keep saving, she'll want to keep investing to make sure that when she does go to pull her social security and she's got her pension in place, she's going to have enough combined with everything to be able to get through till basically, the end, whatever age that ends up being. It could be in her 80s, her 90s. It's hard to say. So ideally, if she doesn't have that house payment in retirement, it's going to be a lot easier for her to swing this. So, depending on her interest rate, I wouldn't necessarily say that she needs to focus on paying her house down aggressively, but at least she can look at when her house will be paid off. What age? What age will her house be paid off? If it's before she turns 50, she's going to be in a lot better shape because she's not going to have that responsibility, of that mortgage payment. And that's going to give her a lot more breathing room to make that $350,000 plus work for her. Kelly is doing a lot of things right here. I'm very impressed. Kelly, snaps for you. You are obviously working very hard and staying very focused and learning a lot about money, and it shows. So keep up the good work. Continue to work hard. You're working a part-time job just so you can invest the money in a 401k. That's amazing. Hopefully you are able to pull some things from this. Continue to have that high savings rate that you have where you have a decent amount of your income that's free to be able to do investing with. This is the goal. This is what it's all about. All right, finance fam, I hope you found that helpful and took some nuggets from it that maybe you can implement into your own financial planning. If you want me to look at your financial situation, send me an email, support@shetalksfinance.com. Comment below. Let me know how you like these videos. Would love to do more of them if you enjoy them. And I will see you in the next video.